si bella, you are so very wonderful, you are so very beautiful, so marvelous divine. Come si bella, you are the only one I love.
Hi, this is the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and you just heard our guest for this week. His name is Joe Leo, and he's back on the podcast again, and I'm so excited to talk to him.
Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode. My guest this week is Joe Leo. Joe is back on the podcast, and we're going to talk about so much stuff that has happened since the last time he was on the podcast. If you didn't get to hear that episode yet, that was episode 120, and that aired in March of 2016. So it was over a year ago now. Please do go back and listen to that. It was a really good episode. I got some really good reviews from our conversation and all what Joe shared. And so he's back for more. And Joe, thank you so much for coming back and welcome.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
And for the last time we talked about your singing, and so I thought it would be fun to start with your songs this week because I didn't get to share any of your music last week. And so for anyone who is interested, that was from the Jukebox Legends. And I'm going to link to the website again. It's thejukeboxlegends.com, and you guys go all over the place to sing and perform. I know you do weddings, you do cruises, and are you still doing that?
Yes, we are still doing that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
It seems like it is.
We have a lot of fun. It's a forced way for all of us to take vacations.
Yeah.
And all our wives love it because they get to come along. So
of course, yeah. Do they attend the weddings too when you do weddings, or just the cruises?
No,
yeah.
Unless it's friends of ours that they're invited to. Most of the time, they don't come to those. But all the concerts, the shows, the cruises, you name it. Whenever they can come, they come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would too. So I will link to that, and for anyone who wants to check them out. But Joe, your Etsy shop is the Coastal Workshop. Now, last time we talked, your shop was still relatively new. You had just jumped in with both feet because you were making these ceramic coasters. Well, I don't know if they were all ceramic at the time, but you were making coasters because it was something you wanted for yourselves. And then you started selling them thanks to your daughter who told you to get on Etsy. And things have grown between now and then. So can we catch up on what's changed and what's been happening at the Coastal Workshop?
Well, a lot of a lot of things have changed. I think when you and I spoke back in last year, we had sold like 30 coasters, and we had joined the business in September. So we figured if we did something between September and December with that selling season, then Etsy was worth us doing. And I think we did 20 or 25 sets, and we were like, that's pretty good. We're brand new to this. But from that point till now, we've done like 315 sets. And that's just on our Etsy site. And then we've also done, and I should say out of that 315, a couple of those were actually custom orders for weddings. So Etsy counts it as one sale, but some of those orders were for 120 coasters. Wow. One was for 220 coasters that people use as favors at their wedding.
Yes, those are really popular. I know I have some from other weddings. Now, when you get an order for a wedding, say you get over 100, do you pause everything else in the shop so you can fulfill that order, or do you just still keep going?
No, we still keep going. I pulled my wife in, my son in, and my son's girlfriend in, and said, okay, you guys work on these, I'll work on these.
So now it's a family business.
Right.
Yeah. So did you purposely market to the wedding industry, or did that just happen by chance that these wedding shoppers found you?
I put up, I think I did one custom listing up there and said, available for weddings. And then I also talked to a couple of people locally that do invitations for weddings. And I made them some samples for their store and said, when the brides come in and looking at invitations and you talk to them about favors, here's something we can hand make for them. And so they've thrown us a couple of clients back our way, and then we give them a commission on those.
Yeah. And now speaking of collaborating with local shops and brick and mortar shops, one of the things that I really admire that you've been very good about doing is collaborating with brick and mortar shops. And one of the ways you've expanded is you're now serving the winery market and liquor stores, making custom coasters for them. How did that all come about? And what would you say is the benefit of taking your online business offline today?
Well, I think the benefit of taking it offline and connecting the two of them just gives you the area for growth outside of who finds you online. Depending upon what kind of advertising you're doing online, how much traffic you're generating into your Etsy shop, there are other areas. Like I think we said in the last time, everybody has a niche.
Yes.
And one of the niches that I saw was the wine and beer market. Because that's very popular, coasters with wine mugs with wine glasses and beer mugs. So I actually went to one of the local wine shows and brought some samples with me. And I was talking to the owners of the wineries. And then I took their logos and made up some sample coasters for them and said, here, you could sell these in your gift shop. When people come through at the end of their tours to buy wine, they can buy coasters. So we've hooked up with a couple of them, and they actually order pretty regularly now. And I told them, I think I set it up originally as a 5-set minimum order, and then we just increased that. But they're starting to order pretty regularly, and then we get invited to a lot of their wine events where they'll actually let us set up a table and display our other coasters and sell like their other vendors.
Yeah.
So I don't often take advantage of that because I don't have the time, but
yeah. Now, are you still working outside of Etsy?
Yeah, I am still working. I did back in October of last year. I started to take on some clients. I do web design and graphic design and marketing programs. I released a book about a year ago on how to grow your business, and that was on Amazon. And so I'm in the process right now of making the transition of leaving the corporate world,
yes,
and going completely on my own, just doing Etsy and doing my marketing consulting.
Yeah.
I have some seminars scheduled. I'm doing a seminar this Friday for the Realtors Association in our area, and it's an entire seminar on digital marketing and how to grow their business through digital marketing and the best way to use YouTube and Pinterest and Facebook and all that stuff combined together to turn what I call clicks into clients. So.
Yeah. So now, are those strategies that you apply to your own business and specifically to selling on Etsy?
Yes. Everybody said you need to be very specific about how you build your business online,
Mm-hmm.
but all of the techniques and strategies that you use, whether it's Facebook or Pinterest, YouTube videos, they all can be applied to any type of a business. You just have to take those techniques and customize them toward your target market.
Okay.
So, but you can use it. You can use them in any business.
Okay. So there are a couple of things I would like us to just dig into a bit more. I want to come back to the marketing because, as you know, that's kind of a point that a lot of Etsy sellers get stuck on because we we have more creative brains. And so figuring out how to market and spend the time we need to do the promotions to actually get sales is a bit harder for us. So I'd like us to come back to that. But
Okay.
before that, I want to talk about just expanding. And if you can just break down, maybe give some advice about how a seller can go about connecting with industry professionals that they want to work with. So for you, you knew that you wanted to get into the winery and beer markets because you saw that there was a need there.
Right.
How would you advise someone who wants to grow outside of Etsy to, one, figure out where there's a need for what they offer, and to connect with people in that industry?
Well, finding people that or businesses outside of Etsy that could use that product or could help them promote that product through their business is really kind of goes back to identifying who your real customer is and who your real target audience is. And it's hard to speak specifically because we don't really have a particular business in mind, but there are people out there that make some beautiful jewelry and beautiful crocheted items. I'm sure that they could go to local boutiques in their area and work on some kind of a program where they can put it in their own consignment, or the store would want to buy a certain amount of things and put it into a case, or even let them use a section of their store for themselves and be there once a week, like a pop-up store.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to go back and really identify who your target market is and who's using your product. I knew that the beer and wine industry were big for me, so that's where I went. And then the wedding industry became another area. So you really have to identify that. And once they've identified that, then it's just a matter of going out and doing the legwork.
Okay. So figure out who those customers are. For you it was easy. Like you said, I think one of the things that, say, a jewelry maker or someone who knits or crochets might have difficulty with is figuring out who specifically to target. And I think that's where some get stuck, because I mean, almost everybody, well, women wear jewelry, so it's hard to narrow down. So I guess in that sense, one might maybe pick a market. So maybe instead of just general jewelry for anyone, would you say it would be better to maybe create jewelry specifically for, I don't know, teens or weddings or something like that, so that you define your own market?
Well, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And then okay, I'm making, because just making jewelry is too broad.
Yeah.
It's too much. You can service anybody. I mean, men want to buy it for women want to buy it for themselves. But if you have even if you're making jewelry, you have a specific line in your company that's geared towards teens, maybe you want to take that and now go around your area and find out, where did the teens shop in my area?
Yeah. And
what stores can I collaborate with that maybe would want to carry some of my line or let me be there? So that's, you really kind of narrow it down to where you want to be.
Okay. Then how do you suggest that the pricing that they charge when they do in-person sales or consignment sales, where they'll have a display in a brick and mortar shop, be the same as what they sell on Etsy, or more or less?
Well, if you're going to be out there selling in the public, and you're going to be also promoting your Etsy shop, so that you hope to get residual sales down the line and people are going to visit you online. I think you got to keep your pricing in line with what you're doing on Etsy. I'm not talking about selling it wholesale to the store, but if you're going to be actually physically selling it retail, I think you need to do that. Now, if the store is selling it retail and they're not going to mention that you have an Etsy shop, like the liquor stores that I deal with, when they sell my coaster sets on their counter, it has no identification that it came from from my shop.
Oh.
It just says handmade in the USA, and that's it. And they sell them on the counter. They put their labels on them. I give it to them shrink wrapped and barcoded, but they put their labels on it. So nobody's coming back to my shop with that. Where on the other hand, in the wedding market, the stores that sell the invitations and those things, they're giving people my website address. They're not saying it's there. Just we've collaborated with a guy who hand makes these, and they're great favors. So it depends on where you're going with it. If you're physically going to be there, then you have to sell it for what you're selling on Etsy for, because you want to drive them to the shop, your online store.
Okay, all right, and then so then for marketing. For Etsy sellers, and I guess anybody really, how hard it is to keep up with social media and specific outlets. Are you of the school of thought that sellers should try and be everywhere, or are you of the school of thought that certain media outlets, or I shouldn't say media outlets, certain social media platforms are better than others? And if so, what would you recommend for an Etsy seller?
I think that you need to use all of them and try to be as many places as you can at the beginning. Okay. And then I think you need to look at your ROI. And by ROI, I don't mean having to spend money, because your time is also an investment. Yeah. I think I need to take a look at your ROI, whether you're spending money or just spending time, either way, and see which areas are returning more for you. You may have to do this for a couple months. You may have to do this by testing a couple of different titles to the ad, or a couple of different pictures, graphics in the ad that you're using, and then see where your returns are coming from, and then pick that one. I still have some stuff on Pinterest and Instagram, but I find that Facebook has worked so much better for me. And I think I even sent you a thing. Somebody was asking about how to track their Facebook coupons.
Yes. I was going to get to that.
Okay. And so I do that, and I track those coupons. And when I go back to my Etsy shop and I see where the coupons are coming, Facebook was definitely, was great for me. Plus the fact I've got now a lot of wedding people that are coming to my Facebook page, and business people that are coming to the Facebook page. I just had a lady the other day call me up. She's a photographer from down in the Panhandle in Florida, and she wants to turn some of her photos into coasters.
Oh, wow.
And then sell them in her shop. She has a photography shop.
Very nice.
So she sent me some samples, and we made her up like 5 of each, and we shipped them down to her last week. So and she became part of our Facebook page.
Okay. Oh, very cool. So let's talk about that, because that was episode 164. I was talking with Ina of If Only Pretty, and we were talking about tracking Facebook ads and just how you know what's working and what isn't, so that you know how to tweak it. And you sent a very detailed breakdown. It was easy to understand of how to track your ads by I want to say coding them, but when I say coding, I don't mean like computer coding. I mean
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So this is what you said, and I hope I summarize it properly. So when you set up coupon codes in Etsy, give them specific names. So like if you were going to do one from, no, I'm saying it wrong. I'll let you say it. So you have the Facebook 2, Facebook 5, Facebook 10, and each one has a different dollar amount. Okay. And then you can explain how to track those.
Right. So when you set those up in Etsy, you can name the coupon. So I name them Facebook 2, Facebook 5, Facebook 10. And then when I use those coupons on Facebook, the Facebook 2 is basically $2 off any purchase of $20 or more. And then the 5 is $5 off any purchase of $50 or more. And the 10 is $10 off any purchase of $100 or more. And I came up with that years ago and working for another company. when I was doing coding on our advertising, because I needed to see, we were in so many areas, I needed to see what was returning. And I use a dollar amount because I found over the years of being in marketing that people can relate quicker to a dollar discount than a percentage discount.
Yeah.
They can't figure that percentage in their head as fast as they can say, oh, well, I'm saving $5. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at some of the big major retailers like a Bed Bath and Beyond, when they send you those coupons, it's $5 off one purchase.
Yeah.
They know it works, and that's why they use it.
Okay. So that makes more sense than what I was going to say. So have you found of the different amounts a particular price point that seems to resonate with most buyers? And then does that influence how you tweak your pricing at all?
No, we actually raised our pricing right after the Christmas holiday last year.
Okay.
And not this year, the year before. We raised our pricing because we started to take a good look at, where our costs were, and we always offer free shipping. So we had to take a look at the shipping costs and what it was costing to package it. So that's been set, and I didn't change it this year, and I don't intend on changing it now again at all, for the remainder of this year anyway. No, I found that the $5 off, $50 or more. Now our coaster sets are $20, and I think a couple of them are $21.50, but for the most part they're $20. And so it actually helps. $5 or $50 or more, so they're buying 3 sets.
Okay.
The $2 off of 20 is really kind of like a lost leader to get them there.
Yeah.
But the 5 off of 50 is great for us because they're spending 60
yeah,
and getting 5 off. So
okay, that makes good sense. Then I had a good question for you and I just forgot. Oh yes, no, I remember now. You said you increased your prices, and I really want to stop on that. Did you notice a pause in sales, or did your sales just continue going at the same pace, or did they increase when you increased your prices? And basically the question I'm asking is, did a price increase hurt you or help you?
I immediately saw an increase in sales, and I sat on the couch. I was talking to my wife, and I said, I'm going to have to raise the prices. I said, because we're making some money, but for the effort, the time and the effort we put into this, it's very hard to pay yourself for your time and your effort on something small like that. I said, I'm going to have to raise it, so we're making a little bit more in profit, and we're still covering, we're covering all those costs, but we're making a little more in profit. So I said, I really hate to do it because it's probably going to turn people off. Mm-hmm. And I said, but I'm going to do it. And I did it. And it was like 2 days later, I had 4 orders. And the next day I had 3 more orders. I looked at my wife and I went, they must have thought that I was selling it too cheap and they didn't want it.
Yes.
Now that I raised the price, they're coming. And
yes,
I think we're at a good price point now. Mm-hmm. I did do some research on some of my competition out there. There's not a lot. There's quite a few on Etsy, but some of them, we have 193, I think, different styles in our store, and there are some other ones out there that have like 15 or 20, but they're selling them like half of what we sell ours for. Mm-hmm. But I did some research on that, and I did some research just generally outside of Etsy on industry, looking up what major brands are selling them for, and we're right in line.
Okay. And
I would put our quality up against theirs any day. Okay. We're very particular with our quality. So.
All right. Very good. So yes, and I know that that's a point of hesitation for a lot of sellers, because they fear that if they increase their prices too much, they'll price themselves out of the market. And yes, that's possible if you go to a ridiculous price point. But right. For your time, for the cost of your raw materials, and for the quality of the product that you're offering, I think too many sellers underprice themselves and aren't making enough profit. They might cover the costs, but then you cheat yourself a little bit on the profits.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
I'm glad that you saw that. And invariably, most of the people I talk to who have increased their prices have not had a negative impact, because one, the pricing increase was done logically. It wasn't ridiculous, like going from, a $10 product to $60 and you're not really changing anything.
Right.
You have to take into consideration where the market is comfortable and where, you think your buyers will draw the line between a low quality product or, a high quality product. I really do think, and I think the same way too, when I'm shopping and I look at something, if it's way too cheap, unless it's like a crazy markdown sale, I question the quality. And I think
Right.
a lot of other people do too.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
But you love getting that thing that was $85 that was marked down to 50, then was marked down to 25.
Yes, any day. It might not have really been like, I'll go to say Ross, and everything is always compare at this price, and I always ask where is it that price?
Exactly.
But still, I feel like I'm getting my dress for less, like they say. So
that's right, exactly.
So now, Joe, you're into selling on wholesale as well. You don't do it through Etsy. You have your own wholesale website, and that's ceramictilecoasters.com. That's where all your wholesale is handled through. Let's talk about running a separate website specifically just for wholesale. What kind of effort went into setting that up, and who do you send to that site as opposed to your Etsy shop?
Well, let me just say that I also own the coastalworkshop.com, and I was going to, I was playing around with putting a website together for that, and then Etsy offered that pattern site. So I opened my pattern site and used my coastalworkshop.com for that. Okay. And then funny enough, I was searching, for names for ceramic tile coasters, and I came across ceramictilecoasters.com. It was available. I grabbed it. I didn't do anything with it for a while. And I put together a website. I put a lot of what I have on Etsy on there on the first page. And then I put wholesale for businesses. And I started to show some of the samples that I made for other businesses and for weddings and those things. Mm-hmm. And I get a great response because the minute somebody types in ceramic tile coasters, I'm right there.
Oh, yes. You have the benefit of exact match domain.
Match.
Yeah. Okay.
So we get quite a bit of traffic on there, and I watch how we vary on the SEO on the pages, and I'll go in and tweak the SEO every once in a while and play around with it, especially like during wedding season when it's really big weddings. I'll go in and I'll really promote the wedding SEO keywords more than anything else. And we're seeing a lot of traffic on there. So it's if somebody can build their own website and using Wix or WordPress or GoDaddy, Weebly, a lot of it's drag and drop. Mm-hmm. But you have to have some design experience to really get it to where you want it to be, and then be able to put the SEO and code it right for the SEO. Yeah. But it's easy enough to get the site up there. It's really inexpensive enough to do it, but the work comes after once you have it designed.
Right. Yes.
You got to be on top of it.
And so for the SEO, usually when I think of SEO, I think, okay, I have to blog and write enough that Google will say, okay, this is what she's talking about. I will send traffic that way. Do you do that, or do you mainly just use keywords in the listings for your SEO?
I primarily use keywords in my listings. However, if you were a client of mine and you were asking me for my opinion, I would say do as I say and not as I do. One of my problems is I just don't have the time to blog, although I blog for some of my clients. In the research that I've done, the blogging, when you can consistently do a blog, at least I think the last report I read was once or twice a week at the minimum, that you can get picked up by the search engines because they see fresh content coming onto your page on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And what it does is it analyzes that content to make sure that it's relevant to what your page is all about. And if it is, then you come up in the rankings and you'll get noticed. So yeah, blogging is really important, and it's on my to-do list to do it for myself. And like I said, I do it for a lot of my clients, and I would definitely suggest it.
Okay. Well, yeah, it makes sense, and we hear that all the time. But it is so time consuming, and then not just writing, but then once you start blogging and you start to research how to do it properly, then you start going down this rabbit hole of SEO, keyword research. What words do I use? Where do I place them? How do I and it gets to be overwhelming, which is why I think a lot of people pass on it.
Yeah, it can get very time consuming, and I think people get really hung up on the keyword end of it. I mean, those keywords or buzzwords within the industry are working a trigger. But I think if they wrote an article about, I always tell my clients, what's the 10 questions that your customers ask you all the time? And now let's answer those 10 questions, but let's answer them in the form of a blog by writing a little story answering that question. And by doing that, the keywords that you're looking for are going to be there because you're dealing with a particular subject. Okay. Now the key is to take that blog and share it among other social media sites, not just on your website. You want to link, you want to get that on your Twitter page, link it to that. You want to link it to your Facebook page, because that's what creates the backlinks back to your website.
Okay. And those backlinks, search engines like Google look at those as making you more of an authority, right? When somebody clicks to your links to you. Okay.
Exactly. Because when you put a website up, you're not an authority at all. It's just out there. And once you start creating those backlinks, now you become an authority and your rankings go up too.
Okay. And for anyone who's wondering what we mean by authority, it means Google just looks at you as being someone who knows what you're talking about. And so they're more likely to show your website in the search results when somebody searches for what you talk about, because they feel, okay, if other people are linking to what this person is saying, they must know what they're talking about. So we'll show them earlier in the results. Right. Basically. Right. And
it's not hard because then what happens is, if you share something on your Twitter with a link or your Instagram or Pinterest, it doesn't matter. And somebody now shares that, your exposure is now doubling, and those backlinks are getting created. Your job is just to get the blog written, get it up there, and then share it. Yeah. And leave the rest to the internet.
Yes. Yeah. And hope the internet loves you. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, you said the coastalworkshop.com is your pattern site. Do you find that you have to do a lot, or if any, of social media marketing or anything to drive traffic there, or do you pretty much just leave it as is because everything you do in your Etsy shop feeds into that?
Yeah, I don't really do much with that. I went in and did whatever I had to do on the SEO at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And Etsy drives enough traffic through to our Etsy shop that I get traffic through there. I haven't had a lot of sales through there. Most of them come to the Etsy shop, mm-hmm. but it's there. And I know eventually once it starts to, it's brand new because they only launched that, I think, November, December.
Yeah, so not too long ago.
Yeah. And I took the 30-day free trial, and I'm getting visitors to the site. I can see it in the stats, mm-hmm. and I've had a couple of sales on there, but nothing great. But for what it cost a month, it's not a big deal. It'll eventually catch up. So
okay. And does Etsy yet, for the pattern sites? I know they recently had some updates to it, which I haven't yet read. And have they yet integrated a blogging feature for the pattern sites? Not yet.
I don't know. I tell you the truth, I never looked at it. Okay. I don't remember. I haven't looked at it.
Okay. I'm going to do a resource episode because I know I just got an email where they did where they announced that they had some updates to the pattern site. And so I thought, oh, I should read that and see what's new, because I know they're constantly tweaking it and trying to make it better. So now the other thing is your okay, for the wholesale market. So you did it on your own. How would you advise another seller who wants to do it on their own to go about connecting with the wholesale market? So we talked about selling retail to local brick and mortar shops, but selling wholesale is kind of different because those are bulk sales that you're trying to get. So would you do anything differently to get those sales than you would the sales in a brick and mortar shop?
No, not really. What I did with the brick and mortar shops, I just took, I made about, I don't know, 4 or 5 different sets up. I put them in shrink wrap. I barcoded them and, that kind of thing. And then I brought it over I walked into the store and said, hey, this is a good impulse item for you guys to carry for the holidays and this and that. Would you be interested? Yeah. No, minute. How many do you want to try? And I sell it to them, we'll take 5, we'll take 6. Yeah. And then I always did it in areas where I was passing through all the time. So I didn't have to go out of my way. And then what I did was on my way through, we'd get him, hey, how's it going? Oh, we sold all 5 of them. We need 5 more. Okay, good. I'll bring them to you tomorrow. Okay. And I would bring them back. Eventually I'd like to expand that. And not that I'm going to do that personally, but I'll maybe stick my son on the road and say, okay, go pick up some more accounts like this and set it up.
Yeah, he'll be your traveling salesman.
Yeah, that's right.
So do they pay you after it sells, or do they buy them from you and then you're done with it?
I'm in about 10 stores. One of them only pays me after he sells. The rest buy them right up front from me.
Okay, good. So then you don't have to wait for a sale to happen. And that's a good sign too, because it shows that they're fairly confident they're going to sell them off.
Mm-hmm. And I tell them right up front, if you don't sell these, especially around the holidays, I said, if you don't sell these by Christmas, I'll take them back and I'll refund your money.
Okay. That's a good guarantee to give.
And it's an impulse item. If they put it there my item anyway, if they put it there on the counter when people come up with their beer or their wine or whatever, and they see those, and you're going to somebody's house, that's a perfect little gift to add to.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Joe, are there any resources that you're using right now for selling, be it on Etsy or on your own websites, that are particularly helpful that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Wow. For sales?
Yeah, for sales, or maybe even educating yourself, learning. It could be a book. It could be a tool to help selling. And I'll give you a hint. Like last time you shared, you were using Wave Accounting as your accounting and bookkeeping tool.
I still use that. That's it's perfect, because just now when I did my taxes, it was just so easy to download the end of the year report, and it gave me the entire breakdown. So that was easy enough. But as far as a selling tool, no, I still use I use Canva a lot.
Oh yeah.
To design my Facebook ads, to design my Facebook cover photos. During the seasons, I changed my header on my Etsy shop. I did a spring, I did a fall, I did a Christmas. I changed the header, and Canva is perfect for that. Anybody can use that if just a little bit of practice.
Yeah. Can I ask for the header or the banner that you use in your shop? Do you use I know Canva has a pre-made Etsy layout where all you have to do is go in and customize it for your shop. Do you use that, or do you make it from scratch in Canva?
I used the one that they have already made.
Okay, so it's even easier then.
Yeah, it is a little easier. Now I use the customized ones because I bought the upgraded package that they had, because I'm using it to do all the headers for the websites that I'm doing now. Oh, so it's just so easy to design it in there and then just import it as a JPEG to a website when I'm doing it. So
okay. Do you think it's worth it for someone listening now to to use the paid package, or can they get by on just the free
No,
stuff?
they can get by with the free package because most of the people are going to use it to either do their header, maybe design a Facebook ad, and they get that perfect size Facebook ad because when you lay it in there, it takes up the whole block and you can really see it. Same thing with Twitter and Pinterest, Instagram. All the sizes are perfect for them, and it's just a matter of you add a background, add some text to it, put a picture in, and put it up there, and it's noticeable, to anybody looking at those sites. So that's all you need is the basic package. If you're going to get into some heavy graphic design, like I do, then you need a paid package.
Okay.
I'm on it. I'm on it constantly, probably 4 or 5 hours a day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then that makes sense for you. So, Joe, what are your plans for the next year? We've heard what happened over the last year. Where do you plan to take the Coastal Workshop over the next 12 months?
Well, we are. Some of our plans right now are to get involved in a lot of the bridal showcases. We're not going to be there physically, but we're going to collaborate with vendors that are already there.
Yes.
And pay them a percentage for marketing our materials. One of the things I lack is time.
Yeah.
Thing that I do, but if I can leverage what I do and collaborate with other people. So I'm working on a couple of big companies right now that are going to use us in their bridal showcases, and we'll be working with those. So we'll definitely do that. We're expanding our winery reach outside of New Jersey. So far, we've only done New Jersey wines. We are getting ready to do an email blast to all the weddings all the wineries in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut. So the next 5 or 6 towns, states around us.
Okay.
We're going to be doing that. And then the wholesale retail market with the liquor stores, we'll probably increase that this year, but I don't have any definite. That's going along okay, and that takes a lot more effort to build than the rest. So we're definitely going to do that. I have about 7 or 8 new designs that will be going into our shop within the next month that I'm working on now. And we're putting in an entire line of photography coasters of photos that we've taken ourselves on vacations and trips, oceans and, mostly scenery. So we're coming out with a whole line of those this year too. So I think we have a full plate.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you really do need to stop what you're doing elsewhere and turn to the well, except for the jukebox legends. That has to
my
continue.
outlet. That's my outlet, and that's not as much as it used to be. We've cut it back. We stopped doing the nightclubs. We used to do all the nightclubs and the dinner clubs, and all we do now is the cruises and the bigger shows.
Oh yeah, of course, the fun ones.
It's fun. We all work full time. We all.
Wow. I'm so impressed because one, I know it's a fun thing to do, but still it takes time out of your day. But then when you're having that type of fun, it's more of, like you said, a creative outlet to just, kick back and do something that's relaxing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Joe, I want to hear how all this goes. You have really big plans for the future, and I think your trajectory is just going to keep moving up and up. Can we do this again?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes. Because I like one of the things I really like, and I want that person who's listening right now and just feels kind of stuck, like things just aren't moving or gaining momentum. I don't know if I say it enough that Etsy should be a tool in your toolbox. Etsy should not be your full business. And what Joe is doing really demonstrates that. Etsy is an outlet. You're using it to, to the maximum you can. You have your shop, you have your pattern site, but you're also going out because you're operating like you have more than just an Etsy shop, which is something I want Etsy sellers to really realize. if all you want is an Etsy shop, then that's all you'll have. But if what you want is a creative business, Etsy is one place to sell. You know, you can do wholesale, you can do retail, and have your own e-commerce shop. And so that's, you know, a message I just hope people pick up from what you're doing, Joe, is that you're running a business. It's more than just your Etsy shop, even though that's where it began, which is, you know, always a good place to start.
Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of people, and like you said, some of people just want a little hobby and they want their Etsy shop. But if you're really looking to develop it into a business, put the effort into Etsy, but then take it outside of Etsy. You can always drive traffic back, but there's always areas outside of there. You know, I always say when I do my seminars for in marketing, we talk about websites and what people are doing in there. If you build it, they will come. And I always put in capital letters, wrong. That's not going to happen. Yeah. You build it, now you need to work towards building traffic to it, whether that's going out and making personal traffic or building traffic on the internet. You did a podcast, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago. I lose track of time. And I always listen to you in the car on the way to my office. The lady was decorating sneakers.
Oh yes.
I think she was from.
She was from England. That was.
England, and listening to that, and she was you could tell that she really was looking for somebody to say, you know, what should I do next? So I sent her a very nice email and said, I heard your podcast today. It sounded like you were looking for some direction. You know, what are you struggling with? And she told me some things that she was doing, and I went and looked at her Pinterest, her Twitter, and I went back to her and I said, here's what I see you're doing wrong. Try this, and this. And see how that works. And she just sent back all smiley faces. Thank you so much. I'm going to try it. I'll keep in touch with you. But she just sounded like she was really trying to find a way to, you know, to really boost it. And she's got a unique product and it's not cheap. Yes. But she really needs to, you know, she really needed to do some things. Her shop looked great. But some of her other stuff needed some work. So I just thought that, you know, she would. So hopefully I'll get a message from her that she doubled her shop in a couple of weeks.
Joe, thank you so much for doing that. I love hearing that story. I would have had no idea that happened if you didn't say that. That was Saskia, and she runs the Etsy shop Natural Born Customs. Yes. Wow. And that was episode 169. If you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to my conversation with Saskia. And oh, wow, that's so nice of you to have reached out to her. I'm sure she was very happy.
No, it's no problem. It was just listening to her the podcast that morning. I was like, she just is looking for somebody to give her a little direction, and so I said, I'll give her some advice. Not that I'm the best at it, and that I'm making my shop is the biggest in the world, but I've done some things to help me, and maybe it'll help her. So
yeah, because I remember we also talked about the gibbets when she was talking about, you know, expanding, and I said, oh, you know, there's this lady who did this. Anyway, it's a whole thing. You can go listen. Now, Joe, if somebody else now wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way they can reach you?
The best way for me would be my email address, the coastalworkshop@gmail.com. Or they can message me on Etsy. If they want to send me a combo on Etsy, that's not a problem. I grab it all the time. So
okay.
But if there's something detailed and you really want to send me an email that I can sit down and look at, I'd be glad to help you.
And for anyone who's listening, I can vouch that Joe will answer you. He gives very detailed, because he and I have communicated by email. He gives very detailed information in emails, and he's so helpful even without asking. So I know I'm kind of putting you out there, but if you want to talk to Joe, you know, he's so approachable and very helpful. Please feel free to reach out to him. And yeah, I just put you on the spot, but
That's okay.
Joe, thank you so much for coming back. I'm looking forward to speaking with you again in a year, because I know so much is going to change, and there'll be lots more to talk about and lots more to learn from you. Thank you for being so generous with your knowledge and sharing.
No problem. It was a pleasure. Glad to talk to you. I'll be listening.
Thank you. And
All
I
right.
thank you for listening to the podcast. I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.